Well, when a museum has the name of a serpent in its title, you need to find out why. And let me show you guys what I learned at Cobra Museum. Hope you enjoyed it. Okay, I went to Cobra Museum, and what Cobra Museum stands for, it's because of the movement. What they do, they held all the artwork from those artists and collect them and trying to tell the people why they were important, why the European art movement changes after them, and what are they, why they actually, what are their portations. I don't know if that's a word. But anyhow, who were these people? Cobra movement were a group of people from Denmark, Belgium, and the Netherlands who went to a surrealism conference in Paris. They didn't like it, they hated it, so they gathered in some other place, and they decided to make a group that has more freedom to, to experiment and to make new artwork from whatever their heart desires. And one of the reasons they were so successful was because they tried to merge together consciousness and unconsciousness. Yeah, something different that was happening at the moment. And we have to understand that at that time, after World War II, that was happening, everything was very conservative and, was completely different. So these people, they gather and they make freedom to experiment. They call them Cobra. They actually signed a manifesto, and actually the ones that have this name at the moment, the name was another in French, but at the end they stand for Cobra because it was more memorable and people will remember, was like more accurate, but because of the other one was not, people didn't actually like it. Cobra stands for, Cobra is actually an acronym from Copenhagen, Brussels, and Amsterdam. And this was the first art collaboration, the first European art collaboration post-war. That was something that was pretty intense right there. Cobra didn't last long, was only like 3 years between 1948 to 1951. They have two main exhibitions, one in Amsterdam in 1941, and the second one and last one was in Liège, Belgium in 1951 when they got officially dissolved. But between that, they made a lot of artwork, and one of the reasons they are very memorable and people actually enjoyed it, but they are, the point of reference between after and before modern art is how they approach to art, how they try to connect, to find that connection between art and the people, how they can gather as much as information as they could and making it into something people can understand. Basically, they found a lot of inspiration and directness from how kids work, how kids see the world, how kids express themselves freely. And that's one of the reasons when people go to Cobra Museum, they feel like, hey, that could be done by my 5-year-old kid, what's going on? But that's exactly how they were trying to aim. And they found a lot of inspiration through folk art, to the Scandinavian primitive art, tribal art, and music. Music was one of the main source of inspiration from them, being jazz one of them. They actually collect, or they played or collect music. We have who couldn't read music, but he played music, and he actually published a record. In other hands, we have Constant. Sometimes he exchanged his artwork for musical instrument that he'd either collect or play. And friends who found the meaning, the essence of the meaning of being human through Mongolian gamelan music that he was listening when he was growing up through the radio. The actual museum has a space or a special exhibit with all their musical inspirations or anything related to music. They have it exhibit there at the museum. Well, what happened with them? With the member of Cobra, again, we have to mention them. The main members, because a lot of people, after they signed it in Paris, after they signed the manifesto, there are other artists joined, but the main were, I'm gonna read them because I do not know the names: Karel Appel, Constant, Cornel, Christian Dautremont, Askern, Jorn, and Joseph Noiret. They were the main are the founders of the movement, and we can find a lot of their work at the museum. Tried everything, they work through any discipline you can think of. Main goals from them was to merge or to like unify all these different disciplines into one voice, to have a bigger impact into society and how society was actually perceived at the moment. And the press didn't like that. The press actually was turning them down, and that was one of the reasons they actually get separated. And other like the members of the group were, they were processing information differently, and they started to experiment and actually take into consideration another possibilities, and they decided to split. And that what happened after their last exhibition in Belgium in 1951. If you go to the museum and you get to the first floor, that's actually where you're going to find all Cobra artwork. Is going to be on the right side of the room. Everything related to them, from sculptures, paintings, magazines, letters, everything music related, all that has something to do with Cobra members is going to be at the right side. If we go to the left side, is the exhibition they have until April 5th is about polk, and the exhibition names is Polk versus Blausen, I believe, and it's pretty interesting, and we're going to talk about that now. Left side of the first floor from Cobra Museum, they have it especially prepared to present or to display part of Polk's work art. Many of them are paintings, so there's no photograph of his work in this particular exhibition, but trust me, it's very, very quite amazing, even though for someone like me who doesn't know anything about art. Well, who was Polk? Polk was a German, very eccentric painter and photographer. Why he was famous is because he was one of the main source of, he was one of the, point of reference post-war, the art movement in Germany, something like that. I will find that somewhere better decided. Okay, and why he was actually famous? Because he experimented with everything. This dude, oh my god, this person was not afraid of anything. Why? Because he experimented with so many type of things. Let me mention you a few. Okay, he experimented with materials like arsenic, meteor dust, smoke, uranium rays, lavender, cinnabar, purple pigment from the mucus excreted by snails, and he also experimented by mixing traditional pigments with solvents, varnishes, toxins, and resins to produce spontaneous chemical reactions in order to make abstract paintings. Yeah, he did that. He also imitated that dotted effect created by that commercial printing by carefully painting each dot with the rubber part of a pencil. You know, at the end of the pencil, that rubber part, he painted it very carefully to form images in order to combine them with other things. He usually do that in like a way to protest and to question media, or the media images that was saying about like the truth about the society, you know, like the mass media was portraying society, and he actually tried to question that through his polka dotted reference for pop art, for European pop art. When you like European pop art, he's going to be one of the first because of how he worked with everyday subject matter like potatoes, sausages, and bread, and combined them with mass media images in order to, you know, to make a statement and try to reflect another truth. Yeah, and you are asking me, but you mentioned someone else. Yeah, this guy is Belgium. The name of this person is Blausen. He's actually his stage name. He's a Dutch artist. He's a songwriter, a composer, and kind of like a rock star from here, the Netherlands. What happened with him? The museum actually asked him to make soundtracks for some of the Paul's paintwork or artwork to add a musical layer to the exhibition. What happened is he grabbed 9 of them, and he did kind of like to find his own voice by kind of distance himself from everyone and everybody to compose and to make music. And what happened was he linked all those 9 artwork through music. He linked them through soundtracks, and he made an album. You can listen to them when you go to the museum. It's going to be exhibited until April 5th. I didn't post any clip of the music because I don't want to get copyrighted, but trust me, it's very smooth and relaxing and calming. Lasts like 30 minutes, so it's not gonna be that long, and you can actually like read a little bit more about the paintings because they have like a kind of like a explanation on the ground from each painting. It's pretty cool. Well, after seeing what's on the first floor, we have to move downstairs and actually talk about what are we going to see on the ground floor. Cobra Museum has decided to bring a bit of Mexico to the Netherlands, and for the first time in collaboration with el Museo de Arte Moderno de Ciudad de Mexico, they brought to the Netherlands 46 artwork from some of Mexico's most famous artists, such as, I'm going to read them: Tina Modotti, José Clemente Orozco, Diego Rivera, David Alfaro Siqueiros, and we have Frida Kahlo's Los Cocos, who is exhibited also in this exposition, and is one of her last artwork when he was, you know, on the last phase of her life. And you can actually see how she projected her emotions and how she projected her suffering through the fruits, and how the coconuts are crying. Pretty intense. Wow. The exhibition has been divided into different aspects of Mexicans folklore and Mexicans culture, we can say, to explain a bit of that so we can learn more about what they are and where are they coming from to make what Mexico or what Mexicans are today for the rest of the world, right? So Mexicans are very obsessed by death, right? Being death one of the, the aspects they're trying to talk about or trying to, present to us in this exhibition in Mexico. Death is one of the aspects of the main aspects of the Mexicans being obsessed with. They are obsessed by death. They are fascinated by hell. They believe hell is one of the places where all like primitive urges and violence can be portrayed and can happen, and that's completely fine and natural. But we can actually have to understand that one of the main reasons of Mexicans being obsessed or having that interest in the subconscious comes from the ancient ceremonies, beliefs and traditions that the Spanish colonizations and the Catholic Church tried to suppress when they arrived to the country. And if we are talking about many of their traditions that still happening today and still present in the everyday life, we have to talk about Day of the Dead or Dia de los Muertos or Dia de Muertos. I don't know exactly how it is. If you know, please let me know if it is Dia de Muertos or Dia de los Muertos. But the only thing I have to say is I really want to be there in Mexico one day and experiment it by myself. Well, what's going on with this Day of the Dead in Mexico? Well, Mexicans or indigenous Mexicans believe that one day in the year, being this November the 2nd, the deceased loved one comes to the living world to spend some time with the families and with the loved ones. So the family gather together, they made altars, or they go to the cemetery, and they give them food, their favorite candies, and they kinda celebrate life by death. I mean, they do not feel death being a sad moment or a moment to be blue or whatever. They actually celebrate and remember their deceased loved ones on that day. They actually celebrate what that person accomplished during life, what they did while he was alive, and why he's loved. And the whole country gathers and have beautiful ceremonies, and the cities on the whole country is filled with colors and music, and is a really, really, really big party to celebrate death. And we also have to mention that in 2008, UNESCO inscribed the Day of the Dead as a Patrimonio Cultural de la Humanidad. Another aspect that we have to take into consideration is sex. Originally, before the Spanish conquerors, before the Spanish came to the country, Mexico was very to sexual diversity. You can actually find that into a very remote state of matriarchy, where matriarchy is still alive, and where sexual diversity is not a problem. But we have to mention that still today, Mexico's machismo and put down the woman and being homophobic is still present and is still a problem. But that's the point of this exhibition. If you want to see more about what these amazing open-minded people around Mexico still alive. There's a pretty nice series of pictures taken by Iturbide, that she went to Oaxaca in the 80s and she made a beautiful series of photographs. They have a very cool picture that's still there, is Magnolia. If you have time, go there and check that out. It's pretty cool, huh? We're going to talk about identity. And one of the things that Mexicans do in order to express identity is they like to mix it with a hint of over-exaggeration. And to talk about identity, we have to go back when the Spanish conqueror arrived to the country in 1521. They actually tried to erase or suppress everything that was already in the country, all the ceremonies, traditions, beliefs. But what happened was some of those got mixed together and formed a new way to express themselves, to try to keep alive some of what they were used to do. But what happened? Some of the modern artists, they try to go back to their roots in order to express their art or in order to get inspiration. Portraits is one of the greatest way to actually express themselves. Expressing themselves, also expressing individuality. And what most of the people try to do is they go back into their roots and they try to go back to the native soil, to that cosmic energy, with those beliefs in order to represent themselves into the portrait. And Cuca and El Retrato de Cuca Bustamante by Diego Rivera is a great example of that. You can also see that at the museum if you had the time. They're going to be having this exhibition until March 29th, I believe. So please, make that into your bucket list. All I have for today. Thank you very much for watching. If you have a very particular place you want me to go next, please let me know down in the comments, and we're going to see each other until the next video. Have a nice one. Bye.